Any interesting or favorite memories with other recording artists or producers you had a chance to be around or worked with you want to share with the audience today, looking back now at your career so far?
DG Yola, man. Free DG. DG Yola, he was like a brother to me, man. He was already ahead of the game. When I was in my city, DG was big, man. You couldn't go down the street without hearing him. He was working with Gucci. He was working with Shorty Low. And he was just big, man. And for me to go down south for 2009, I moved to Chattanooga at the time, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And he was locked up by the first time. Then he got out. He had a video put out mixtape, so I reached out to him. He was so real. He was trying to rebuild his career because, he talking about the majors wouldn't re-signing him. I came to Atlanta off the Greyhound, and he was so real. He picked me up in the car and had his sister in there. He pretty much had his family in the car, and I was nervous. I'm like, who are these? He like, oh, this is my sister. That's how real he was. He dropped them off. We went to the studio, and it was crazy how fast that he put out a verse, because it was a track I had. It was a track called Reload the Chopper. I didn't fully push it because he caught a case sooner or later, and I didn't want that song to feel like it was self-incriminating him, which it wasn't. But he caught, I think, a murder case later down the line. But when we was in the studio, it was just vibes, man. Like he had called some females over. They ordered pizza. They was just in there chilling. And I did a track with him, and I already had my verse ready, had the record. And I paid him for the feature. And he walks around for like barely 10, 15 minutes. And at first he was jotting down words on a notebook. So I'm thinking like, oh, he gonna take a minute to probably get this verse done. And he walks back in and he's like, all right, I'm ready. And he does the verse, and the verse was perfect. And I'm like, how the heck he come on the song this quick? It took me like a week to get this track together, but he did it so quick and it was precise. And then his studio engineer mix and master everything perfectly and quick. They were really like street people. We wasn't in no real studio. We was at somebody's crib, but they had the microphone, everything set up, and it was crazy, man. He did the track so fast. And as talented as he was, we was in a car, and I hope somebody in his family find it. I don't know if they got it. He had like 10, 20 CDs full of songs. He was putting them CD in, and he would just skip it through the song, and one CD would say 57 songs, another CD say 20-some songs. And they would not no regular old songs. They sound like some albums. And he was like, man, to the majors sign me. I can't put these out. But he said, if I get signed, I'm putting these out. And he was just putting out mixtapes. And he told me the key to winning in the game is be consistent. He said, but I learned so much from him. He was telling me like, man, I was talented, but I didn't know the business. So he was telling me when I was rapping, he said, man, you got some talent. You sound like the younger me. He said, hey, man, learn the business. That's all he kept telling me. He said, forget this music stuff. Learn the business first, then put out some more music. But that was the best memories was DG Yola, man. I don't like the way Atlanta did him though. When he said he was running to big artists like T.I. and other types of artists, which I don't know really what happened, but he was telling me how they act like they didn't know who he was when he ran into him. DJs that was once taking pictures with him that played his first hit record, he was getting there early in the morning. He was getting to the club early. They act like they didn't want to play his record no more. Majors act like they didn't want to sign him. He like, dang, they gave Gucci Man a chance, but they didn't give me no chance. So before he caught the case, it was around the time I was putting out my second mixtape, and I was all happy putting out the mixtape. And I called him, and he said he was proud. He said, man, I'm proud of you, man. He said, but remember I told you, these people in the industry, they cool with you one day because you hot. And when you fall off, they not the same people, man. So it was crazy. I pretty much learned everything off of them in a small amount of time. Those are the best memories, man. And I never forget DG. I ain't had no contact with him since he got locked up. But I don't like the way Atlanta did him, man, because he really put on for Atlanta. And then Shorty Low passed away. Shorty Low put on for Atlanta. But for me not to be from there and for him to take me around the whole Atlanta and then showing love like that with no problem and wasn't acting industry, man, I always got the most respect for DG Yola. Free DG, man.
Was that the only instance you had with him?
That's the crazy part. Yeah, I learned so much of him. I wasn't able to come around him more because he was moving around a lot. He was going He was trying to go to North Carolina. Um, he knew DJ Ben Frank. He said he was supposed to have worked with DJ Ben Frank, but he ain't had a chance to. Shout out to DJ Ben Frank from North Carolina. I told him he was the first DJ to say he'll host my mixtape and help me get my stuff put on the platform, live mixtapes. And that kind of helped my artists that I had under me put out their mixtapes. So I thank DJ Ben Frank all the way, man. I'll never forget him. But DG was one of the realest artists I ever worked with, man. I was around. The rest of the artists, they'll be cool with you one day and change up the next. You know how I go, but I wasn't tripping over that. But an artist like that will tell you to pull up and they pick you up and take you around the whole city and just teach you everything on what their mistakes was and everything, and then telling you to learn the business. You know, he could have easily, played me and, you know what I'm saying, took my money, anything. He let me pay him for the feature. He didn't charge me that much. It took me around Allen Temple, and I appreciate that, man.
Care to share how much that feature cost you back then?
That feature that he was charging, what's crazy was when he was hot, he was probably charging 5 to 10 G's, man. When I pulled up on him, because I pulled up on him, he was tripping. He was like, "You showed up from Ohio?" So I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Man, you crazy. You don't show up like that, man. You ain't got no firearm. You ain't got nothing on you. You get robbed around here. You wearing J's and Jordans." He only charged me $250. And this when he first just got out. And he was already putting out a mixtape called Broke the Knob, and it was blowing up. And I remember Future and Jeezy, a lot of artists were making songs similar to that mixtape at the time. And yeah, man, he only charged me $250. And I was trying to get as many features out of him. Also, he was a connection to me to the clubs. And I'm like, if they ain't rocking with him, if he put me on, then I can re-help DG get back on his feet, because nobody wasn't rocking with him like that after that.
Now, you may have answered this next question, but we'll formally ask you just in case. And if you felt like you've answered that already in this portion of questions, then we'll just skip it and move forward. But the question was going to be, what's the best advice you ever received from him, or most important thing you learned being around him so far?
Shoot, one of the biggest things I learned from him is trust yourself, man. He told me trust myself. He said, learn the business and trust yourself. He said, if you don't know this business, these people will swindle you and play you, put you on contract, do all kinds of stuff, man. And he told me when I get my money, this is one of the biggest things he told me, which I was very afraid of. He told me, when you make it, he said, people gonna change. And I'm like, what? And he said, family gonna do it first. It's gonna be your friends around you. And he said, then people in the industry gonna act all happy, cool with you because you hot. They wanna do features with you. He said, but then they gonna change on you. He said, it's gonna be people wanna rob you, wanna kill you. And when he told me that, he told me this as I was getting out the car, because I had came off the Greyhound. He was dropping me back off the Greyhound. And I looked at him and I said, what you say? Like, he said, man, be careful out there, man. He said, then you down south too. He said, even you from the Midwest. He said, no matter where you at, you start making it and you get that first meal or whatever, how much money you get. He said, man, people gonna call you asking for money. People gonna wanna rob you. He said, he got into his family before, ask him for money. And I don't know what really happened, you know what I'm saying? But he said he got in a shootout with his own cousin. That's how he got locked up the first time. So him telling me this, it was weird right after he told me that. Why would I put that mixtape on live mixtapes, man? People was acting so cool with me and all this stuff, man. They thought I was finna blow up. And then it was exactly what he said, man. Everybody was acting cool. As soon as my downfall happened, with my artist taking off on me a few years later, man, people was acting different with me and everything. Like, even now, when I say, I'm finna go do an off the porch interview, I'm finna go DJ Smallz interview. And people would get quiet over the phone. People would hang up on me. Even when I recently visit my city, recently, it was just some weird vibes, man. I don't know how to describe to you, but I had to have a firearm on me. People don't even know I had a firearm on me in the car. I had it in the car and I had it in a luggage bag. And I felt the vibes to the point where people want me to come out to the club and come out with them. I stayed at my cousin Diamond house and she was like, oh, you want to go out and want to do this? And I refused to go anywhere. Not because I was scared, because I was aware, So since he told me that, and I started experiencing people changing on me, even when I was living in the Creek, it was a place called the Creek in Chattanooga. Even if I went out Eastdale or Eastlake, people that was so cool with me when I first moved down there, that I was friends with, over time, they contacted my phone no more because they started acting different with me, man. They started acting like I was rich or something. I wasn't even rich yet. They would just treat me like a celebrity, man. Like, see me with Jordan, see me come up just a little bit. Then I started riding a new car, and now they really like acting different. So I got to keep it on me sometime.
Now, what was the title to that mixtape that you're referencing here?
Missed Ohio.
And the city?
I'm from Lima, Ohio.